Welcome to Tales with Ghost King, your podcast for the bizarre, the weird, and the spooky. Today's episode takes place in the southwest of the United States. It's a tale about ghost camels. Henry Wayne, in 1848, was a quartermaster major. He wanted the War Department to import camels for military purposes in Southwest America. Senator Jefferson Davis attempted to persuade the Senate 2 years later to investigate the use of camels in the United States Army. The Southwest Territory of the United States was greatly expanding during this time period. Camels were thought to be able to carry at least twice the amount of weight as a horse or a mule. They claimed they would be more beneficial for tracking Indians because they could travel longer distances without water or rest, unlike horses who required frequent breaks and a water source. They considered using the camels to transport mail. Another idea was to use camels as a passenger train that would run from the Missouri River points to the Pacific coast. The Senate voted the idea down until California promoted it in their local newspapers. In 1854, they finally agreed, and a bill was passed to appropriate $30,000 for the camel experiment. 72 camels arrived in the county in 1857. They were immediately put to work, carrying supplies in the southwest United States. The camels proved to be well suited to the environment and traveled well through the region. The only problem was that they frightened the horses and had a tendency to wander off at night. They quickly became unpopular among the soldiers for these reasons. Camels were still continued to be used until a civil war broke out. The animals were sold at auctions and abandoned in the deserts. In Arizona, camels continued to be spotted roaming the desert. With all these sightings, many legends and tales began to form. The most popular tale is that of a camel known as Red Ghost. A woman was found trampled to death in 1883. Reddish clumps of fur were found on her body and a nearby bush. Large hoof prints were also seen near the site. Sometime later, a tent with 2 sleeping miners was charged by a large animal. The animal was not identified, but red hair and hoof prints were found at the scene. Multiple incidents occurred until locals recognized the animal as a camel. Many people began to report the camel, including a local rancher who said the animal was carrying a rider who appeared to be dead. A group of prospectors saw the camel and, while watching the animal, seen something fall off of it. When they approached to see what had fallen, they discovered it was a human skull. For many years, witnesses seen this camel. They named the animal the Red Ghost, who roamed with the headless rider. An Arizona farmer in 1883 found a red camel grazing in his garden. He shot and killed the animal. At this time, there was no corpse attached to the camel. It was believed the animal had shaken off its headless rider, but the animal still possessed the saddle and the straps which once held a rider. There's much speculation as to who the dead rider was. Some say the rider could have been a young soldier who was scared of camels and had difficulty learning how to ride them. It is said he was tied to the camel by his fellow soldiers to teach him how to ride. They hit the camel on its backside, and the animal ran away, carrying the rider on its back into the deserts. The soldiers chased after the camel and the young soldier, but the camel outpaced them and continued to flee into the desert. The rider nor the camel were never seen again. This is why they believe the Red Ghost was the rider and this camel. The camel corpse roamed for decades and then disappeared without a trace. A prospector in 1907 reported he had seen 2 wild camels in Nevada. The Oakland Tribune reported in 1934 that the last American camel was dead. The camel named Topsy was last seen in the desert of Arizona into California. She made her way all the way to Los Angeles and was taken to Griffin Park to live. While there, she became so crippled with paralysis that the zoo attendants were forced to put her down. Today, all the Army camels have passed away, though the legend continues with people witnessing the Red Ghost, who carries a headless rider through the deserts of Arizona. Another legend where a ghostly camel exists belonged to Jake, a prospector who purchased 3 camels from the Army at a public auction. The camels were just as difficult as the Army previously described, but he took the time caring for them and he praised his animals. Jake, the prospector he was, eventually hit his pay dirt. He then took his camels into town and sold his booty. He headed to the local saloon to celebrate his success. While in the bar, a man overheard him staking his claim. He then left the bar, but didn't go to where he had discovered his newfound fortune, for fear he may be followed. While traveling, a man named Paul followed him. He approached Jake and murdered him. Protecting his owner, a camel attacked Paul, but was shot by him, but not before he had viciously bitten him. Paul continued to search for Jake's gold claim, until one night, Jake's ghost, riding on his dead camel's back, chased Paul out of a camp, all the way back into town. Scared out of his mind, he rode straight to the sheriff's office, where he made a full confession. It's unknown if Jake and his camel roam the desert to this day. The tales of camels still live on. Don't forget to follow and share. We're available on multiple platforms now. Just type in Tales with Ghosts to find us.